After Hours.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, we discuss the Camilla, Georgia band known as Chasing Victory. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurviveByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, where each and every episode, people, I, Curtis, sit down with my good friend, an avid listener to the History of the Chorus podcast, Erik. Welcome, Erik. How are you
you
today?
saying I could sit down?
You can sit down. I've been standing this whole time.
Oh my goodness.
I just noticed. After 43 episodes, I finally realized I can be sitting this whole time. Yes. No.
The camera angles were just all wrong. I couldn't.
You're at one of those desks that you can sit at, but you can also raise it
I
up
have
so
to
you can stand.
Up to this
Oh,
high.
man.
Yep.
Uh,
Life is rough.
no comment. Alrighty, Erik, once again, we've got a brand new episode. And you know what that means?
What does that mean?
Means that you have brought your very big spotlight and you're going to shine it right in people's faces. God, it's blinding. Yes, he's about to put a band in that spotlight. And this is going to be interesting because I know this band and I saw this band and I discovered this band with him. So, Erik, take it away.
This one's called Red Witch Johnny.
Yes.
They are from a little Oklahoma town called Stillwell. They formed back in 2012. We did see them over at the Vanguard with this little band you might have heard about. It's called Norma Jean.
Never heard of them.
We'll talk about them later if you haven't heard of them yet. But kind of old school metal sound. Very fuzzy, very fat, very much like on the bridge pickup the whole time. There was one of their guys that actually had it was a Les Paul Jr., which means it doesn't even have a neck pickup.
Really?
So he was just fat sound the whole way.
Okay, I guess I didn't notice that. The lights were pretty blinding.
He was the one. Yeah.
He
was the one right in front of us.
Okay, yeah. No. I was too mesmerized by his shredding on the guitar. It's like, so good. And his cowboy boots.
And that's funny because his cowboy boots, no less. But yeah, a Les Paul Jr. Not a custom, not a studio, nothing fancy. No, we're talking about a junior. And I've heard about guys doing that. I've just never seen it live because they just like that fat, fuzzy sound that it gives.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look on their Facebook, they talk about congratulations to 10 years of playing fuzz. And I'm like, that describes exactly what they do. They like those fuzzy, chug-a-luggy riffs.
So like the overdrive on those amps, man.
Oh, yeah. It was a good sound.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it.
Warm.
I loved it. And it sounds like listening to their album, the one album that they do have, I was like, oh, yeah, this sounds like exactly what they sounded like live.
Yep.
At least for me.
I same thought. Amps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just mean like it was good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, I do like on their Bandcamp, their description is filthy, dirty, classic, psychedelic buzz rock. That sounds about right.
That
sounds about right. That's a good description. That's a very good description.
When I first heard them on the old Spotify, before we saw them, I like to check bands out before I see them live just to get a feeling. Possibly sing along with a song if I get to liking one of them. It happens, right? So I got to really listen. I was like, this sounds like Black Sabbath, but like newer and a little bit updated.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
So, I mean, it's kind of a not exactly, but it kind of puts it in that category of like Greta Van Fleet for me, as far as
Watch
like
your
it's a
mouth.
newer band but has an older sound. I'm just saying, it goes in that kind of
Watch
category.
your mouth now.
If you like them or not, that's up to you.
I'm just kidding. Huh.
Are you a fan of Greta?
No, not really.
Okay.
You mean Led Zeppelin? I'm a fan of Led Zeppelin.
See, there you go. There you go.
Okay, so I see a picture
they do have
here.
3 whole members live,
Yeah.
at least. And what was weird is, so you got a guitar who also sings songs to us, a drummer, and then you get another guitar. No basses, none of that business. They're already playing in drop F flat, probably just on the bridge pickup, so they don't need a bass, I guess.
So I'm seeing a picture on their Facebook page from 2014. They used to have a bassist, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
Got rid of that thing. Don't need
They
that.
got rid of it. They're like, yeah, one day they came in, they're like, hey, I had this thought last night. Why do we have a bassist? And he was like, dude,
who are you?
I had the same thought. Why do we have a bassist? Let's get rid of him. Yeah, let's get rid of him.
That's what he said. Dude, I'm the bassist. And I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Oh, wait. Oh, no. You're out. Yeah. But yeah, 3-piece band, 2 guitarists, drummer. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I think for like the style that they have, you don't need it. You don't need the bass, It
does work if you were going to move into the little bit more technical side of like Black Sabbath and those did back in the day. You need it.
Right.
But for what they're doing, they kind of have that psychedelic, groovy kind of thing going on. You don't necessarily need it as much.
And it's funny because I just now thought about this. If you think about the 2 openers on that concert, Red Witch and the other band, Ivory Tusk. I almost said Coast, Ivory Tusk. Think about how opposite in terms of Red Witch doesn't need a bassist. Whereas Ivory Tusk had a guitarist, but I remember towards the end of their set, I was like, dude, I don't think she's played a single note. She may have like hit a chord every once in a while, but she's more like using it as like an effect and using like a bunch of like gadgets with the guitar. She had the switchboard. She was playing on that. And then you look over at the bassist right in front of us, and he's just like, the bass was the driver for that band. Yeah. And so it's just funny that it's like those are 2 totally opposite, where we don't have a bass, we don't need one. It's like, yeah, we got a bassist, and he's really the main guy here. So
the guitarist, meh.
Yeah,
just kind of does
more
stuff over there.
Sounds, yeah. But anyway, carry on. Red Witch.
But anyway, so 3-piece, which is interesting. They do have an interesting sound. Kind of my final thought here. Kind of chill at times. You got some groovy sounds in there too. Well worth a listen in my book. If you get a chance and they're the openers at some show up early. Listen to them.
Yes,
they're a lot of fun to watch.
Agree. We got to talk to them for just a little bit.
Show up early to bands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were pretty cool guys to begin with.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. So they'll talk to you, man, as they're getting all set up and everything.
Go to the show on time. You listen to the shows start when they say they start, so you can see the little guys. Promote those little guys. Little guys can become big guys. That could be your kid's favorite band. Go to shows on time.
This is true, man.
Golly.
Although I will say too, if everybody showed up that was there for Norma Jean showed up on time, we may not have been able to stand where we were, which is right up there up front. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really glad that we were right there, especially for Darkest Hour, because that was a lot of fun. But anyway, marketing idea.
Put on a show, I tell you that.
Oh, they put on a show, man. Yeah, I can't wait for that episode. Well, I was I was thinking about it. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna have to definitely hold on to that one until we get the Darkest Hour episode to talk about that one because, woo, it was
That
good.
whole show.
Uh,
Well, we already talked about Norman Jean. Norman Jean did really good.
no, we can talk about it. It's
And
fine.
dudes played with 3 guitars live.
Well, hold
3
on,
guitars live on stage.
before you get more in Norma Jean, marketing idea for you with
Oh, okay.
Red Witch. You said they're from Stillwell, right?
Yep.
Okay, find your local sandwich diner and partner with them. Have a sandwich, create your own sandwich. It's called the Red Witch. Yeah. I'm a marketer.
It's like the tomatoes and ketchup and
corned beef.
all the red things.
Crazy. All the red things. Give me all the red things. Red onions, you know? Yeah, anyway. Yes, let's talk about Norma Jean. That was a good show. Yeah, he always wants to talk about Norma Jean. Yeah, what can we say that I mean, it's one of those two where it's like you just really had to be there, but yeah, it was a good show, man. It was a good show.
I mean, you got pushed to the ground once. I got a kneecap to the forehead. It was a good show.
It was close to more than just a kneecap, sir. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm glad he was a little more over.
It was a little too close. You know what I'm saying, man? I can't get that image out of my head of just you. Get up!
What is this on me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, the one with like when I got knocked over onto those stairs, like I was just more like into the moment of like whatever song it was, and I just feel that like hand on my shoulder, and I'm just like, what? Like I can't like break like what I'm doing. I'm thinking, what is happening? And then it's just like this resistance is like finally just like shoved me over onto the stairs. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. Fun, yeah, fun times.
It was good.
Man.
Good fun times.
And you know,
what I did think was interesting.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, the one with, and I told you, but the one with the crowd surfer that got onto you with the kneecap.
Oh, yeah.
I told you, I was like, it caught me off guard because nobody had been doing any crowd surfing until Norma Jean got up there. And that guy's all the way on the other side of the stage. He gets up there, and I told you, I was like, I really just thought he was just like some roadie or trying to set up a microphone. I got knocked over or whatever. Beeline right for us, and he locks right onto your face. He's target acquired. Oh man. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
It was interesting that last time I saw them, they had all the pedals kind of pushed closer to the back.
Yeah.
This time they were right up front, and since there was 3 guitarists, a lot going on stage, they were a little more stationary as well this time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was
last
my
time
one.
They moved the pedals to the back, and I think that's why people were able to hop on stage, you know, ride the wave all the way, and then hop off and jump back and go back, you know. But
yeah, that
you know, one interesting thing.
That was one of my complaints with them was like they just felt very here's my lane and I'm sticking in it. Whereas Darkest Hour was very well, look for the place, you know. Except for the vocalist, he stayed pretty much in his little line, but
6 feet this way, 6 feet that way.
Exactly, maybe. Yeah. distance. You know, we've kind of mentioned it between us. Did the guitarist's son steal the show though? Over in the corner with his drumsticks.
I think so.
He was rocking out, man. He was having a good time. That's for sure.
Little dude was living his best life.
Oh yeah, he didn't care. He was just having a good time with those drumsticks, trying to play along and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was having a good old time.
Good show, great show, terrific show, wonderful night. Couldn't hear anything for a couple of days. Couldn't speak for a couple of days. It was terrific, man. Oh boy. Alrighty. Anything else on a Red Witch, the Sandwich? I'll have a Red Witch.
Red Witch Johnny.
Red Witch
like I said, they're good. Give them a shot.
I think the 2 guitarists are brothers, by the way. They both have the same last name. Yeah. I don't know if they're like just related or if they're actually brothers or not, but Yep.
I think
yep,
everybody's
yep.
related in Stillwell, Oklahoma.
Hey now. Alrighty. Today we are talking about the band. Oh, you hear those banjos? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Today we are
Shots
talking about the
fired.
band whoop, known as Chasing Victory. Yeah. As always, Eric, start out every episode with two simple questions. Very easy, very basic. Even a 5-year-old could understand. How were you, Eric, introduced to Chasing Victory?
Hmm. I think let's talk about only chasing safety.
Huh.
Anyway, but outside the Under Oath reference that keeps
But I
running through my
digress.
brain every time you say chasing, I'm like,
Chasing,
chasing safety?
chasing.
Chasing safety?
Yep.
So, anyway, the album art for I call this abandonment seems very familiar to me. And I don't know if it's
Okay.
because, like Josh said, everybody had that torso shot at one point
Probably
in
so.
time, or if
Yeah.
it's like somebody I knew had this T-shirt, or maybe it's just too close to "Fear Is What Keeps Us Here" from Zayo with the
There's some
snakes. I
different,
don't know.
there's some different things that maybe are kind of playing factor into that for sure. I would agree.
So that's really familiar, but then a
Okay.
couple songs off this album really were familiar too. So I don't know if I've actually heard them before, or if it was just in passing, or like I said, I had some friends that were like on the outer skirts of friend group back in the middle and high school days,
Mm,
and it could have been like one of their things. Who knows?
very possible. Very
But
possible.
it seems
Good.
familiar. That's story of all that.
That's the story, and I'm sticking with it. So you've heard the
Yeah.
discography. They're two full-length albums and a couple of EPs. How would you describe Chasing Victory to a brand new listener, Eric?
Well, there's a bucket, and it gets a label, and it's post-hardcore. I'm gonna throw them in the bucket.
Okay. Okay. That's probably a
It
good
does
way to
have
say it.
elements of other stuff going on. I will say that, but post-hardcore does catch 90% of it.
So me and Josh talked about it on the original. Yes, post-hardcore with some indie stuff going on too.
Right.
But are you in agreement that listening to their discography, what they have, does it really feel like this band just truly couldn't figure out what they wanted to do?
It's almost like they start at one spot and said, this is what we can do right now at this very moment,
Right.
but let's move towards that up there, or maybe down there. But anyway, they think it's up there. And so it's like they're taking these leaps and bounds in that kind of direction. Because that's the way it feels like. I don't know. It's
But it's
evolving.
almost like instead of
Just
like
in the wrong
going up on a
direction.
straight line, it's like you're kind of like hopping over. I don't know. It's
branch,
just kind of
branch,
weird.
branch,
And I
branch.
think one of the big factors with that is they started out as a cover band. Now I don't know what kind of music they did, covered wise, but I would be interested to see like, okay, was it a big mixture? Was it all just kind of like in this tiny little genre? Was it in the genre that they did, or was it just kind of like, hey, every once in a while we might do like a Britney Spears song, but then next thing you know, we're gonna sing some My Chemical Romance, something weird like that. I do wonder if maybe starting out as that kind of contributed to this fact of we like everything, but we're not really sure where we want to go. And we'll talk a little more as we get into some of these different albums here. But coming out hot off their first record label contract with one mono and stereo records, the band would release their first EP, a not so tragic cover up EP. What happened?
On my end, you just got super fast and went.
Oh,
It was
nice.
great.
Yeah, that happens to you every once in a while on my end too.
Yes.
But, okay, their first EP, a not so tragic cover up EP, which featured mostly clean vocals, while Josh described it as a further seems forever / the wedding sound. And I described the vocal style at times kind of coming off as Burt McCracken from The Used with a little bit of Sonny Moore from First and Last in it. And I also kind of had this thought of listening that there's like this kind of interesting My Chemical Romance cadence that I find off of early tracks of Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. So I'm kind of like, was he listening to that a lot back in that day? Were they covering some of those songs too? Who knows? Anyway, so there's the EP, their full length debut album. I call this Abandonment, which comes about a year later after the EP. Showcases a different style than its predecessor, with bitey raw uncleans becoming the mainstay on this album, with clean vocals still mixed in there. It's interesting that so much would change from the EP to the full length in such a short time. And I say that because like usually if you put it on an EP and then a full album right after that, usually I always take like the EP as kind of like a precursor of like, kind of a warm of like, hey, this is expect some of this on the next one. This is kind of like what we're going towards, And I felt like you didn't really get that with Not So Tragic cover up to I call this Abandonment. And I've lost my place. Oh, here we go. The question. Yes, the question. I have a question. Give us Give us your thoughts, dearest Erik, on the EP and their first full-length album, and talk to me about the differences in style that you hear between the two. Hoobity hoot.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So the EP is not as heavy as they end up later. Kind of feels almost pop punkish to me, especially.
Yeah.
There's definitely parts in there that do.
Yeah, and I think that goes into like what Josh was saying with Further Seems Forever in the Wedding.
This one does make me think of that From First to Last. It has those kind of young elements, especially like in the screams. You've got those airy mid highs that are some of the better ones. Makes me think of Dying Wish or A Life Once Lost. Not every time. There are just some really key good ones in there that I was like, that's like A Life Once Lost. That's like Dying Wish. That's one of those that's good. It's enjoyable.
Right.
For a EP, though, it is well produced. It's not a basement quality by any stretch.
No. And I would contribute that to being on mono and stereo.
Right, which helps.
So,
it helps quite a bit.
Speaking of which,
what's interesting is they got signed before they released any big music. That's what I really find interesting about this band, actually.
Right. Go ahead.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, go ahead and continue on. I just came up with a trivia question for you, Erik.
Oh, my.
Off the spot, but go ahead.
So the first LP that they laid out, I kind of put this as like the definition of post-hardcore.
Okay.
Especially from the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
It's got elements from a few bands of the scene kind of at that time. I don't know if it's inspired by or they inspired them, but who knows? Far too late now to tell.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It does make me think of like Before Their Eyes. I don't know if you ever listened to them or not.
I've heard the name before, at least.
Check them out. I like their 2008 album. It's got a little fire on the front of it. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I found that one during COVID. I enjoyed it. But anyway, jumping down from that. We don't need 4 spotlights in one, do we? I mean, I can get you a couple more if you like.
Yeah, that's fine. You said 2008?
I think it was 2008 album.
No. Well,
it's red. It's got a little fire on the front of it.
No, are you talking about the 2012 Redemption album?
Redemption, it is.
Yeah, it's like a.
Is it 12?
Yeah. Well, at least it says on here. I don't know if it's like a re-release or something, but
I don't know. Maybe I had it wrong.
It's very possible, but they do have a 2008 album, but it's the one that has the skull on it, "The Dawn of My Death."
That's the one. I think that's the one a lot of people really like. And then before that, I think was 6 Afraid of 7, I believe, something like that. The album
their
that's
debut
off of anyway.
What, the song?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Is that
talking
off
about the
that first
album.
one?
No, I'm talking about the album. The Dawn of the actual album title is called "The Dawn of My Death." It
Right.
has a song. It has a song on there called "Because 789." There is
Oh, that's it.
a. Let's see here. Okay, there's a song on their the previous album, their debut one, Before Their Eyes, self-titled. That's has a song "Why Is Six Afraid of Seven."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one I
Oh
was
my
thinking of. But
gosh.
anyway,
Wow. 3 million views on that song alone. Um, and then nothing else is over 1 million. There's a couple that are, well, there's one that's close. There's two that are close. Everything else is down like at like 100,000. Jeez. Wow. Anyway, sorry. We're getting way
we're
off
on a
guard there.
rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the
get
2012
us
album,
back.
Redemption. Try that one out.
Okay. I'm gonna
But
try that.
that's kind of what makes me think of like where this is right here in that vein of things anyway. A little higher vocals, of course, in the register, the way he sings anyway, in the cleans. Um, it's a good mix of cleans and yells and screams. It's got it all kind of mixed in there. That's what makes me think more post-hardcore than anything else, really. Uh, screams on this one, a little more like the early days of Spencer and Underoath. Something
Okay.
kind of in that range.
Yeah.
When he
It's
was
just,
still a little bit on the young side of things, before he
yeah.
really found his voice, I guess.
It's just very raw, man. I mean, the first time I heard this band was um the opener off of I Call This Abandonment, and it's that line that it's just him vocally screaming that. It's like, oh my gosh, man. That is right as 2005 raw.
Oh
Um
yeah,
and I loved it. I was just hooked I mean, just from that line, I was hooked.
that was the
But yeah,
flavor.
yeah, I was like, chef's kiss. I need more. Immediately put into both my veins in my arms. Yeah. Josh does want to know one question, Eric, and we've
Uh-oh.
kind of you kind of hinted on it. He wants to know what's up with bands in 2005 putting torsos on their album covers. Why? Why do they want to do that?
I don't know. Why would you put a drawer full of snakes in your torso? I don't know, man. That's
I don't know, man. I like steaks, so I would never do that. But yeah,
especially those. Those don't look fun. Those don't
those
look
do not
like
look.
nice
Those don't look like
snakes.
fun snakes. They crawl around up in there and they get in your organs, and then you accidentally poop one out, and it's not fun. It's not fun. Yeah,
Then it's mad at you and bites your butt.
it bite your butt. Well, at the same time, it's probably trying to crawl back up your butt as you're trying to poop it out, and that's gonna
Oh,
be anyway. All right, man. Moving on. That's a great visual there for you people. This is the kind of content that you're getting on these shows, people.
quality content.
This is quality content. I think this is a good time too to remind everybody. Make sure to give us a 5-star review. Oh man, or whatever podcast service you're using, whether it be YouTube or Spotify or whatever, man. Just make sure to give us a like, a subscribe, and a 5-star review, man. All right, moving
Because
on.
we love you.
Because we love you. You want to hear more about these conversations? We'll give you more conversations like this. Trust me, we'll give you plenty.
How
There are
unhinged do
plenty
you want to
of-
get?
There's plenty of things that we say to each other in our own little time off from recording that is just like off the wall crazy. So yeah. Alrighty. Fast forward 2 years after I Call This Abandonment, and we get the band's second full-length album, Fiends, which curiously features more of a mainstream sound, or at least the band was trying to lean that way. And according to Josh, quote, you need the resources. You don't just say, we're going to do a mainstream album, end quote. Couldn't agree more. Lyrically, the last album was very on the nose about the band's belief. That's I Call This Abandonment. Here, Josh and I both agreed. We wonder if the lyricist even knows what he's talking about as we read through these lyrics, which leads to to the thoughts of the unnatural shift to trying to make a mainstream album instead of just letting it be natural. What are your thoughts on the band's second full-length album, Eric?
It's definitely more mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
sound-wise.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some elements of what they had before,
Mm-hmm.
but they're toned down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. At times, it gives me those early MCR sounding vocals and kind of the
Yeah.
structures in there as well.
Yeah.
Just less energetic.
Which is funny because then it goes back
Gerard,
to what
because he got that punch.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing that punch here. So
that
I'm not
infectious.
Yes,
Yeah.
his, when he's looking at the camera and he's singing me a song and doing that
with his
business
pale face. Yeah.
and eyeliner and
Yes.
yeah.
Which is, it's funny though that you bring that up, because then that goes back to my point of on the first EP of the cadence that I felt like I heard from Three Cheers from Sweet Revenge that they kind of put in some of their songs. It was like, okay. So I wonder if he's heavily influenced by Gerard Way, maybe, but
Or by my next point, maybe he's influenced by drugs. And I don't mean the kind that you get on the street.
No, don't
CDs
say,
on the street.
Don't. No, why can't it be the ones on the street, please?
Unfortunately, they're probably better than these, but yeah, it's lyrics that get me for this one. And at times on the last album, I was like, did he just copy and paste some of drugs, like stuff that they didn't use? Or
he's like, hey, Craig Owens, can I have some of those lyrics?
What you got over there? Because I'll take a few.
What you got? I've got money. Need a cash grab?
Yeah. The way I wrote that line there too is at points it was reminding me of Drugs, the band, and that's not a compliment. So
make sure to give us a 5-star review, people, on whatever podcast service you're using. We'll say it all day long if we have to, man. Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement. For sure. Well, immediately.
This has been endorsed.
Yes, this has been endorsed. Immediately following their second album, the band breaks up. I wonder why, Eric. I wonder why. Years later, returning and releasing a new EP, The Friends Volume 1 EP. In 2018. I just have one question for you, Eric. Not so much, well, not really for you, but just in general. Across the board. Anybody who's listening right now or watching. Did we really have the support to make a new EP 11 years after their last release? I mean, I'm not saying that nobody likes them, because I've seen recent sets at Furnace Fest, in the previous years, and there were plenty of people singing along and having a good time to songs that were on I Call This Abandonment, though. Not Fiends or this new EP, I Call This Abandonment. Do we really have that support, And Josh even commented that, your time has come and gone by this point. If you want to play shows here and there, kind of like the prayer for cleansing type thing that we talked about in the last episode, that's fine. Go ahead. Cash grab. We get it. We don't like cash grabs to an extent. Be dangling in front of my face, man. Mailing that we don't like that. But if you want to just like tour here and there, that's fine. Whatever. But what are we doing at this point? So just give me your thoughts on this newest release, Eric.
I don't think they had the support. Looking at some Spotify numbers, they got their cult following.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of a relatively small group, like 5K monthly listeners at the time when I wrote my notes.
But how many of those are just listening to I Call This Abandonment, or even, Not So Tragic, Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not much listening to this last one, which is more the vein of what they did. And then they changed it up a little bit, not for the better. Like the echoey vocals, I didn't get it, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Everything else,
and that's not a compliment.
Was mixed well. Yes.
Right.
Not a compliment. Everything else felt like it was mixed well. So whatever the crap they were doing with the vocals was intentional, and I'm not here for it. I didn't like that at all. I will lay down the law. That's it. No, bad, naughty, naughty.
My gosh. Oh man. I'm gonna have to clip
Here's a
that.
5-star review on whatever.
That was yeah, exactly. You want to hear more of these, man? Oh boy. Oh jeez. And you know the saddest part about this, Eric, is I look at that title of this EP, Friends Volume 1. You know what that tells me? There's gonna be
They
a
had a
volume
plan.
2. It's like, which is even crazier
When?
because now we're recording this in 2024, almost the end of 2024. 6 years later, still haven't released anything. So, what are we doing? What are we doing here, man?
Yep.
It's time
Not
to
a
cut
lot.
your losses. If you still want to do music, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, when they disbanded the first time, a couple of them went off and did some side projects together. Cool. Go do that. Have fun doing that. You know? If you want to come back every once in a while, play, some festivals, Furnace Fest, whatever, do, some old classics off of, your first EP, Cause Abandonment, maybe a few songs here and there off of Fiends, whatever. But just leave it at that. Your time is come and gone, people. You need to be stopped. It's the Michael Jordan meme. Stop. Get some help.
Get some help.
Okay? Get some help. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Alrighty, Eric. It is time for your favorites. Favorite albums, songs, lyrics, riffs, artwork, so on and so forth. Take her away, Eric.
So we got our first favorite is an album.
Fiends?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You went all right, let's hear it.
I call this Abandonment is definitely the favorite. Although the first EP is not bad. So
no, it's not bad at all. Yeah, it's
there is
good.
that. I remember listening to the podcast, and your Josh one was saying something about the third album. Oh, it was Josh said something about the third album. You go, you mean the second? He goes, no, the third thing. And then you had to correct it. The EP was actually an EP, not a first album. It's almost long enough to be a short album, and it's well done enough to be a first album.
To go ahead and
for
just
sure.
be an album, yeah.
So, and it's kind of in that vein of Vanna is the same way with that first EP.
Search Party, yes.
Search Party EP is basically an album.
Yeah,
it's a short album. Don't get me wrong, but it's an album.
It's an album. That's an album.
So anyway, their first EP is kind of in that same category. It's not bad either, but Abandonment just kind of turned it up in the right direction for me. I quite enjoyed that.
I agree.
So lyrics, I will say I pulled some lyrics off of the second album.
Okay.
Just to show you how cringy they are.
Oh boy, here we go. Drugs are incoming.
So fire up the engine. And that's literally the first lyric here.
Oh
fire up the engine. We're getting lost in her hair. I can smell the sulfur burning. Sweet sex in the air. This kiss becomes medical. Yeah. And that's from Chemicals, in case you wanted to know.
Oh, I thought that was Craig Owens. Wait, was Craig Owens featured on this song?
He might have been, man.
No, hold on a second. Wait a minute. You're telling me that this was not a Craig Owens song? There's another Craig Owens out there? Wow, that delivery was great. This sweet sex in the air. That was hilarious.
You are quite welcome for that one.
Oh my goodness. If you're just listening, you need to go onto YouTube and go find that spot, because his face was even better, man. It takes it to another level.
That isn't just how cringy they are, though, to me. And I know he's not quite singing them like I said them, but that's how I'm feeling. He should have.
And it's not it may have worked. It's a comedic release. Comedy core.
Ugh. Anyway. I did get one off of let's see, this one's off of Fiends as well.
Okay.
And this whole last album describes that. Their earlier stuff, like you said, it was more on the nose, so I didn't really have anything I loved or hated about those lyrics.
Right.
They're just kind of existing
They just
in
spoke,
their little
yeah.
box. These ones I have beef with, so I'm bringing them up.
Okay.
This one comes from Fiends, not Friends, but Fiends. That is a little confusing, by the way.
Yeah, that always confused me.
So, and if you're not feeling original, that is, don't let it go to your head. It's all been done before. You're not the first one. So, yeah,
How
just like you
original.
guys, you're not the first ones to try to go mainstream when you don't have the clout, you don't have the push behind you, you don't have the money.
Yeah.
You have to have at least one of those things.
Or the support. Just should have gone out on their Facebook page and did the To Speak of Wolves. Hey guys, who wants new music? What if we went to the recording studio? It would be crazy, right? What if we just kind of like hit the record button and did like played a couple things and released that?
And all three people go, yay!
Yeah. Oh man, we only got 3 people on our Facebook post reacting to it.
That means we got to do it. 3 people say yes.
Well, we gotta do it, man. We put a deadline down that if 2 or less, then we're not gonna do it. That third person put us over the top, Eric. So we gotta do it, guys. We gotta do it.
His mom,
right? Probably. So, I love you, honey. Please get out of my basement. Yeah.
But anyway, just that last album really, it killed it for me, and not in a good way.
Yeah, it's not a compliment. It's
not a compliment.
Oh man, cool.
So you ready for some final songs? Some good top 3 goodness.
Top 3. Okay, here we go. Number 3.
The Killer's Me.
Whoa. I knew it. I knew it. People, if this is the last thing you hear from me, it was Eric. He did it. He just admitted it. Yeah. Number 2.
Number 2 goes along with it. Suspects, Alibis, and Partners in Crime.
Nice.
Which one are you?
I'm the victim. I'm the victim in this crime, people.
I'm always the victim.
Number 1.
Oceans Away.
How do you beat that opener, though, man?
That hits so hard, that opening.
Punches you square in the face, man. Woo!
It is, especially for this time period, that is just a perfect way to open up an album.
Man. Yeah.
It's still a good way to do it. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, you still want to hit off. Yeah, you still want to start an album off great. Hey, genre. Just go straight in with the scream like that, man.
Absolutely. You grab their attention.
Grab my attention at least. The rest of the album could be crap, but I'm gonna at least listen through that one song for sure.
At least once.
Oh man. Final thoughts, Eric, on the band known as Chasing Victory.
Overall, not bad, especially in the middle. What's funny is they started softer and then they ended softer, but
right. Little hump in the road.
That's where I like it, right on top.
It was a speed bump. Careful there, buddy. Careful. Careful.
Too late. We already done it.
5-star review, people. 5-star review. You know the drill. Yeah. Just a band that peaked too early, I think. And
well, if they would have rode that second album.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. It's like
gone in that vein of it.
Yeah, and I think that's what me and Josh were talking about.
Really well.
It's like, why don't you not at least like make another album like that? And if you want to like start to kind of change, like gradually do it. But man, it was just such like a hard left coming out of that album. It was like weird because you got your popularity off of whatever popularity you had, you got it off of that debut album. So why would you change so quick like that? But I don't know. I just realized I never gave you my trivia question. So here we go. We're gonna finish it off.
At the very end.
Yeah, Josh did not answer this correctly. I am very disappointed in him. Don't make me very disappointed in you, Eric. But what band that we all three of us talk about a lot had their first album, their debut album release through Mono and Stereo Records? Oh, watery.
Mono stereo.
Oh, buddy.
That's Maylene.
Yeah, suck it, Josh. Yeah, you're out, Josh. Josh has been demoted to the after hours. I am now calling you up to the big leagues, the pop.
Uh-oh.
So
I'm in trouble.
I'm in over my head. Man. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got so many notes. I don't know where I'm looking at now. Oh boy. Alrighty. Let's make our way on out of here, Eric. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on the show, but our other shows as well. We have the Big League podcast, the History of the Course podcast, where Josh is about to be demoted to the After Hours podcast if he doesn't get it together. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of the Peaky Blinders. Sooner or later, we're going to get that movie. We will. We're going to talk about it. Let's be on the lookout for that. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which has covered season 1 and season 2, eventually season 3 of HBO's House of the Dragon. In the off season, we have covered Fire and Blood, the book, and then we will be getting ready for next summer's show, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. So be on the lookout for more episodes in the coming weeks. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua and Lynn Gary. Roast him. Let him know he's about to be demoted to the After Hours podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. If we haven't said it already, I think we missed it. Did we? I don't know if we may have already said that. I don't know, but just in case we didn't say it already, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, okay? And write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. Okay, that's all you need to do. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived By Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. Beep, 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 beep. Alrighty, until the next episode. No, I take that back. I wanted to say congratulations to you, Eric. Because after a long, hard summer, we have finally caught up with the History of the Chorus podcast. That's right. The next few episodes you'll be seeing of the History of the Chorus podcast will cover the Coheed and Cambria series. And then we will be immediately following that with more Coheed and Cambria. So be on the lookout for those episodes. Until then, we'll see you.